Recently, a friend of mine got his truck stolen right from his driveway in under 5 minutes in the middle of the night. I'm going to tell you if your car is on the list of most stolen, and then show you how they usually take those vehicles, and then give you 10 tips on how to protect yours. Welcome to the Never Ending Weekend. Hey everyone, it's really early in the morning or late at night, depending on how you look at the clock. I have a camp light in here so you can see me. I'm going to try to keep it down. Who knows if my neighbor's going to call the cops on me or anything. That's actually a good test to see if the community is vigilant about this type of thing. So another theft deterrent maybe. But regardless, it seems like there's been a rise in car theft recently. For reasons I'm not sure, but there's just been more and more news about it. And the technology that allows this to be done in an easier way is called relay theft or relay attacks. What they essentially do, especially for cars that have keyless entry, where you're not even pushing a button, you just approach the car door and open the door when you get close proximity with your key fob. That key fob is always emitting a signal, a very low power signal. That's how your car knows that you're near it to open the door and start the engine with the push start. So these kind of cars are vulnerable to this type of attack, this relay attack. What they typically do is they come to your door, they put an antenna close to your house, they amplify the signal coming from your fob, and they'll open the door to your car just like the key fob was right beside it. The truck that got stolen from my friend, he keeps his key fobs in his kitchen all the way at the back of the house, and you can see through the camera that the person just put up what looked like a rope antenna maybe close to his front window, and they opened the door within a few seconds. And they caught the car running in under 5 minutes and they took off with it. Another thing that they can do is they get into the OBD port of your vehicle, which is basically an outlet that connects to the CPU of the car. And if they know what they're doing and have the right software, they can reprogram keys so that they have a brand new set of keys after they take your car. Here's a list on the screen of the most common cars stolen in North America and Canada, the US. These cars tend to be the easiest to hack. So if you have one of these vehicles on this list, something you might want to be wary about. Now I'm going to share this list of 10 tips ordered from easiest to implement to hardest, and hopefully it'll help you protect your car. So the first thing on the list is something relatively easy to implement as well as really inexpensive, is something called a Faraday box or Faraday pouch. Basically boxes or pouches lined in a way that they block RFID signals. So once your key is in them and closed, they shouldn't be emitting a signal anymore that they can intercept. So as an example, here's my car key here. I'm going to put it in the box, and I'll have links for all this stuff in the description below. But now that the key is nicely in this box here, closed, I'll try opening the door. And I can't. But as soon as I crack open the box, even a little bit, like so, it opens. So you just have to get into the habit of putting the key in the box every night or when you get home. The second tip are physical deterrents. That includes steering wheel clubs or hub locks, those big kind of things that you put on the wheel. The thing with club locks, the ones on the steering wheel, people don't realize that the club might be really strong and they could break that as well, but the steering wheel is weak. So what they did to my friend's car is that they just sawed through the steering wheel and took the club off. The problem with some of these locks is the more secure it is, the bigger hassle it is. So to take on and off a big heavy hub lock on your wheel every day before and after you get home is a big hassle, and I don't know if anyone would want to go through that trouble. But anyways, or a garage or gate, something physical, a barrier that'll make it harder for the thief to get to your car. So keep in mind, it's not going to be a fail-safe, and it might not even be that much of a deterrent, but it's another layer. And I think adding these layers of security on top of each other will help secure your car and keep it safe. Tip 3 are lights. At least your porch light or your garage light, the exterior one, should be left on all night, but especially motion sensing lights If you don't have one, it's a great idea. It might not be the easiest thing to implement, but it's something everyone should have. Thieves like darkness, so lights seems like an obvious one. Tip 4, cameras. So these things are really popular, these doorbell cameras, or have one that's exterior. There's all kinds, Nest, and I forget what all the brands are, but cameras is a great idea. It may not stop the thief, but again, just one more layer of protection, another layer for the thief to look at your house and go, I'm going to pass this by and just go to the next one. Okay, step 5, we're starting to get into the electronics here. Adding some kind of tracking device to your car. There are some professional grade GPS trackers where you can get installed. Those are probably the safest. The ones that come from the manufacturer, some systems allow you to track your vehicle. Because those are part of the car and they never move or change, if a thief knows what they're doing, they'll be able to disable that item. But if you get one installed third party, those will be harder to find because they're not in a stock location. The poor man's version is the Apple AirTag. I got a few of these. I got these holders that have some adhesive on the back that you twist open and you place the AirTag inside of, and then put them and stick them in some inconspicuous spot in the car. The thing is with AirTags is because criminals started using AirTags to track cars that they'd follow, or even people, Apple put in safety features so that if there is an AirTag that's following you that's not yours and you have an iPhone, the iPhone will alert you that there's an AirTag near you and you can make a sound so that you can locate it. But for my situation, I'm going to disable that speaker, and I'm not going to show you exactly how. There are many tutorials online, but if you take out that speaker, even if they have an iPhone and alerts them that there's an AirTag in the car, they won't be able to find it. They won't be able to make a sound. So that's something, if you are going to use an AirTag, that's something you should be aware of. So tip number 6 is a key disabler. Some manufacturers have this feature built in so that you can turn off the hands-free ability of your key. So you'll actually have to push the buttons to make them work. But this doesn't work for the ignition though. But other than that, and I'll have a link in my description below, you can buy a device that will turn your key off after you stop using it so that it stops emitting a signal and will only start activating again once you start moving the key fob again. Number 7 is an OBD port lock. Like I was saying, they use that OBD port to access your car CPU, and they can do all kinds of stuff once they're in there and they know what they're doing and they have the right software. So locking that might stop or prevent some thieves from continuing on. So you can buy locks for this that cover that plate. Now number 8 is a continuation of this, which is a fake OBD port, whereas if someone tries to plug something in, nothing will happen. Or one step further, an OBD port that has an alarm attached to it so that once someone plugs something in, an alarm will sound. So conventional alarms kind of don't work in this situation, because if you have the ability to open the door, usually that triggers the disarm of the alarm. So instead, there are now electronic disablers. You carry around an extra fob that's specific for the disabler. You still have the key for the car, but you don't have the fob with you. You can successfully start the car, but once you put it into drive or reverse, it'll kill the car. Those seem to be the newest type of alarms or theft deterrents that are on the market now. And finally, number 10 is a kill switch. These are physical switches that people can install in your car to cut out the gas, so that every time you leave the car, and this is the nuisance of it, that you have to remember to turn it on and off, but you're basically killing the gas to the engine. So here's a bonus deterrent for you, a shock alarm. Obviously illegal in North America, but something you might want to consider depending on how bad your area is for car theft. And just the last few things to consider. These things won't necessarily stop a thief from taking your car, but it might be harder for him to offload the car once it's stolen. Things like, for example, where I am, we carry ownership of the car inside the glove box typically. People sometimes keep it in their wallet, but most people keep it in their car. Wherever you are, that might be the case as well. But where I am, it's legal to keep photocopies of that paperwork in your car. And without the real paperwork, it'll be harder for them to unload the car. And it might be the same from where you are as well. So look into that, as well as etching on glass and other parts of the car with your VIN number. That makes it a lot harder to get rid of a car as well. And lastly, if you're in the market to buy a used car, just look out for red flags, unusual things that pop up in your negotiation, especially now with online buying and selling. Just keep aware that people may not be representing the cars in a truthful manner. So be aware of that. So there it is, 10 things that will hopefully help you keep your car safe. And one thing. Oh yeah, have a good weekend, everyone.